Why Apple uses USB Type-C instead of Lightning. In recent years, Apple products have seen the disappearance of the Lightning charging port that they have used for a long time. Instead, there is the appearance of USB Type-C, the charging line that has become a popular connector for many types of technology devices on the market today. So what is the reason for them to do so? And what does it mean for their users? Let's find out this story with me. Why do they have to do that? Perhaps the main reason why Apple had to replace Lightning for iPhones was due to European environmental standards. Apple wanted to comply with the new European Union (EU) regulation on the use of a single standard, USB Type-C, for mobile devices in Europe. Effective from 2024, the EU's goal is to reduce electronic waste and simplify the user experience. Because if a device can interact with the same type of cable, there will be fewer electronic devices and chargers thrown away, thus making the environment safer and less littered. European government courts forced Apple to switch from Apple's Lightning connector to USB Type-C on their iPhone devices. This is because EU courts were unhappy that Apple was creating mountains of electronic waste from their proprietary cables that were not universal and only worked on iPhones and iPads. The EU deadline for Apple to use USB Type-C is 2024. The iPhone 16 already has USB Type-C. Apple is basically waiting until the last minute until they're required to use USB Type-C, or they trying to squeeze every dollar they can from third-party accessory makers who pay Apple royalties to use the Lightning connector. Lightning's weaknesses. Many years ago, Apple received a lot of praise for creating the Lightning charging port. At the time of its launch, the Lightning charging port proved to be superior to other USB ports because of its symmetrical design. This allowed users to easily plug in the charger without having to worry about the problem of reverse charging. By 2014, when USB-C was launched, this advantage was no longer exclusive to Lightning. Up to now, the Lightning charging port has only one big advantage for users: they already have a cable to use. While most devices on the market today use common ports like USB Type-C, Apple still insists on using their own proprietary ports. USB Type-C has been adopted as the industry standard because it has the potential to charge and transfer data much faster, with Qualcomm even enabling 120 to 150 watt fast charging on some Android phones with Qualcomm CPU chips. All made possible by the USB-C port. For comparison, the fastest an iPhone can charge using Apple's Lightning connector is around 20 to 23 watts max, and it also gets very hot when you fast charge it, which reduces battery life, while USB-C fast charging is more efficient and generates less heat. The Lightning connector is similar technology to micro USB, which is slow and hot when fast charging. Many users have spoken out and agreed that Apple's Lightning connector is outdated technology. The only problem is that it is proprietary. It only works on Apple products and not on other products. So we have to buy two different cables for different things. And of course that is not good for the environment nor convenient for consumers. Also, many people argue that the Lightning charging cable is more durable. But this is a false view, because the Lightning connector has a short, flat, and narrow plug and is prone to breaking in half and getting stuck inside the device. The design of the USB Type-C actually has better structural integrity due to its oval design, and therefore it will not break in half. Why didn't Apple use USB Type-C sooner? So why did Apple, which had USB-C on its MacBook Pros and iPad Pros for years before the EU USB-C mandate, take so long to bring USB-C to its smartphones? It's odd, especially since they've already included it in their iPad and Mac lineups. Perhaps the answer lies in a story that began in 2010. When Apple was developing the first Lightning port for the iPhone 5, it was 12% smaller in volume than the previous 4S, which meant the large 30-pin connector had to be replaced with something smaller to free up space for other components. At the time, Apple was helping develop the USB-C standard with other companies like Intel, Microsoft, and Samsung, but the new connector wouldn't be ready until 2014, 2 years after the iPhone 5 debuted. So, with the timing bad, Apple was stuck in a bind. It could either keep the 30-pin connector for 2 more generations and sacrifice the compact design of the iPhone 5 and 5s, or it could create its own proprietary connector and cause fragmentation not only in the smartphone industry but also in its own product ecosystem. It was a no-win proposition. But Apple chose the latter. That decision not only caused a backlash from users in 2012, who were upset that Apple was making all their previous iPhone accessories obsolete, but it still causes problems for them today. When USB-C was ready to launch in 2014, Apple was in no position to switch up its iPhone lineup a second time. Just 2 years later, they knew they had to stick with Lightning for as long as possible, or they'd be in for a public relations nightmare. So they persevered. And when AirPods were introduced in 2016, Apple was forced to use the same connector as the iPhone, since the two products were designed to work together seamlessly. So Lightning was introduced to another product line, a decision that would extend to the AirPods Pro and AirPods Max, which also had to use Lightning to maintain consistency between models. It's almost like there's a smaller iPhone ecosystem within the larger Apple ecosystem. Because while the iPhone and its accessories continue to use Lightning, virtually every other Apple product has adopted USB-C. Apple only wants to keep the Lightning connector because they make money from licensing fees from accessory makers, who pay them a fee, plus a $4 cut from every sale. So by switching to USB-C, Apple would lose a lot of profit because they would no longer get licensing fees since they didn't invent USB-C and own the patents for it. That's why Apple fought so hard in court, but thankfully lost. Conclusion. In its argument for keeping the Lightning port, Apple said that it cares deeply about the customer experience. However, it seems that forcing customers to carry a separate cable just to charge their iPhone is a bad experience. With all devices switching to the USB-C standard, users will only need to carry a single cable to charge their iPhone, iPad, and MacBook. Not only that, this change also opens up the iPhone to the ability to connect to a series of other accessories using the USB-C standard. You can easily back up all your photos by connecting your iPhone to a hard drive via the USB-C port. In addition, it also makes it easier for Android users to transfer data to iPhone. But after all, when syncing the USB-C charging port, the iPhone 15 or recently the iPhone 16 also use this charger. From here, users will be able to use the same charging cable for all electronic devices instead of having to use separate charging cables for each device as before, thereby helping to limit electronic waste for the environment and being more convenient. However, switching to a universal charger in the world means that Apple is giving up control of its wired charging ecosystem. What do you think about this change? Don't hesitate to let us know your opinion about it. If you have any suggestions for us, please leave them in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow the world of technology that changes every day. Thanks and see you again.